And welcome to Under the Bleachers. Chris Ransom, Brandice Bell here. We hope William gets better, but we're going to talk about where are they now. Quarterbacks that have either joined the NFL or entered the portal, and it doesn't have to be a quarterback. It can be any position in particular. That's why you see the thumbnail with Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, and Nico Imaleva, because they're all at different places. They're not at Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee anymore. They're all at different places. Will Howard, he's on the Steelers. He's a third-string quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. Quinn Ewers is also a third-string quarterback on the Miami Dolphins behind Zach Wilson and Tua Tagovailoa. Carson Beck is the Miami Hurricanes quarterback, and Nico Imaleva is the UCLA Bruins quarterback. So that's some of the turnover we've seen in the college football landscape. Turnover as far as Colorado goes, they got Kaidon Salter, the Liberty quarterback, in the portal, but they lost Shedeur Sanders, who had a pretty impressive preseason debut with the Browns on Friday. If you got a chance to see that, Brandice.
I did. It was really interesting because I knew that he was going to try to prove some naysayers wrong. And I mean, he did. A lot of people are probably surprised, but I had a little, worries and doubts for him entering into the NFL. And, we got to be honest, like these are preseason games. Like we don't really know if, it's going to translate, but I would like to believe it does, because I think he's the kind of guy that if you count him out, that's when he's going to, show you that's a bad idea. So we'll see. I don't think that he's got like horrible technique. The biggest question for most quarterbacks transferring from, college to the NFL is how does that translation work when it comes to now everyone, like at your school, you might have been like All-American, but now you're on a team with a bunch of All-Americans. So how does that work when you've got like talent all around? Are you able to step your game up even more?
Yeah, and even though Salter's the favorite to start, he's not the undisputed guy. I mean, Julian Sand, the true freshman at Colorado, has been really impressive, too, to the point where he's pushing Salter for that starting job. So that's something he's going to have to earn, but it'll be interesting to see how Coach Prime manages that dynamic.
Yeah. This is really going to be an interesting test because for the first time, Buffalo's history, you've got Coach Prime not coaching his kids, and it's not necessarily that he, created a program around them, but a lot of the question that I've been having since he's translated into, I guess, Pac-12 and now college in a bigger platform is, does the lure wear off when it's not just about like you and your kids? Because that was the thing. He followed them from, elementary school to middle school to high school to college, from wherever they went, that's where he was. And that's why we thought that he might transfer over to the NFL. But I do wonder how long he's going to be at Colorado. We'll see. He genuinely is like there for Colorado.
I
know
agree.
Salters
I think
is not Shedeur.
Yeah, another team with some turnover is Louisville. They lost Tyler Show. He's on the New Orleans Saints, but they did get Miller Moss, the USC Trojans quarterback, who defeated Garrett Nussmeier in the season opener last year. And I don't know why they let Miller Moss. USC got UNLV's starting quarterback, so I'd say that's a pretty good addition. But I think Miller Moss might be an upgrade over Tyler Show at Louisville. We'll see, though. What are some of the most interesting additions in the transfer portal for you, Brandice, this year?
I haven't really been keeping up with the transfer portal. I think, it's hard sometimes to really watch, like, it's when you've got players that particular past season. A lot of my faves were seniors. And I think as far as Carson Beck, I was very confused about that particular transfer. I can't say that it was one of the ones that I loved, But I am interested to see how he fares.
Yeah, and that's a big opening day game. Notre Dame comes to Miami. I know they had the big Catholics versus convicts rivalry in the 80s with those programs, Miami, Florida, and Notre Dame. They had that big rivalry in the 80s. So,
Mommy, can I put some?
yeah. So they had the big rivalry in the 80s. Notre Dame coming off a national title appearance. They had traveled to Miami, Hard Rock Cafe Stadium, where the Dolphins and the Hurricanes play. That's going to be a big Sunday night game. 3 top 10 games opening week: Ohio State, Texas, LSU, Clemson, and Texas, and Notre Dame, Miami. All big games, and Carson Beck's debut. I'm kind of curious how CJ Carr performs, the Notre Dame freshman redshirt. He's done really well in camp. But Notre Dame's got a lot of experienced playmakers back, and Jeremiah Love at running back. So I'm kind of curious to see how the Fighting Irish do against this Miami Hurricanes team with Reuben Bain Jr. at edge rusher. And William and we are going to preview the ACC Saturday in full detail on Draft Utopia. But I think Notre Dame, what are they going to do? Because they lost Riley Leonard. He got drafted in the 5th round, and he looked good. He looked good at Colts camp. I was at Colts camp this summer. He looked good in what limited action he got with the 3rd team. So I am curious to see what he does.
I think it's going to be a lot of sleepers in that draft class. I think that a lot of the kind of, I'm not going to say lesser known, but maybe less popular players are actually going to surprise us. And I think Riley Leonard might be one of them. I also kind of, he reminds me a lot of Daniel Jones. I remember when Daniel Jones got drafted, I was pissed because I genuinely thought that Lamar should have gone higher that year. But, he ended up having a pretty good run at the Giants. His first, maybe Riley Leonard will have that same kind of success with the Colts.
Lamar was 2018, Jones was 2019, but I think you're thinking of Josh Rosen, because I think Rosen went in the top 10 of the Lamar Jackson draft, and I was thinking the same thing because Lamar won the Heisman. He showed he could make multiple reads, multiple progressions, but everyone just thought he was a one-read QB because of the offense he played in at Louisville. And the Ravens, they played him in an option offense at first, but the skill set, it translated as he evolved and got Todd Monken as his coordinator. But yeah, I think the Ravens have been very good the last few years. We'll see what happens, though. I think it'll be fun to see what happens. College football, I've got a few sleepers. I think Illinois could be a sleeper in the Big Ten. They have a lot of talent coming back. I actually have them in the Big Ten championship game. Georgia Tech's another talent coming back. They've got Eric Rivers from Florida International at wide receiver. Could be a first-round pick in 2026. Very good at catching the ball in double coverage and traffic. Texas Tech has a lot of talent returning on defense. They might have the best defense in the Big 12, and they are a legit sleeper to win the Big Championship this year. So those are that I think are in the conversation to be sleepers. And then the SEC is what I think is going to be interesting, because is it going to be LSU that rises to the top after losing 4 linemen? Is it going to be Alabama with Ty Simpson taking over for Milroe? Is it going to be Georgia with Gunnar Stockton taking over for Carson Beck? Who's going to be the cream that rises to the top in the SEC? Arch Manning's taking over for Ewers. I think that's the real big question, Brandice. I feel like there are a few sleepers in college football this year, but I don't know who the cream is going to be in the SEC this year. Who's going to rise to the top in that conference?
Yeah, very interesting to see the SEC. I'm not going to say is a weaker than it looks, but they lost a lot of players in this previous season to the draft. So I wouldn't be surprised if we, again, we are used to seeing in that championship game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Tennessee, they replaced Nico Imaleva with Joey Aguilar, the Appalachian State quarterback, transferred to Tennessee. He's now the Vols' starting quarterback. So, and Aguilar's decent. So, I think he could be a really solid addition for the Vols. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I said Daniel Jones. I don't know why I always mix these guys up. I was talking about Sam Darnold.
I thought you were talking about Rosen, but yeah, he was worse than Darnold and Lamar Jackson.
No.
My
Right.
apologies, but yeah.
When he went over Lamar, I was just like, what is happening?
Well, most had Darnold as QB1 that year to be Mayfield. Baker went first, Darnold went third, Rosen went 10th. I think Rosen went 10th. There was another guy, Josh Allen. How did I forget Josh Allen? What the hell is wrong with me? But I got Allen that time, and then Allen and Lamar were the two best guys in that draft, and everybody else. Darnold.
I was okay with Allen. It was Sam Darnold that I was, and Sam Darnold didn't end up being horrible. He's a solid quarterback, but he's not Lamar Jackson.
It took the most time to reach his ceiling because he was so raw coming out of college.
Yeah. Yes. I was also mad the Daniel Jones draft, though. I was a little confused how I think he went over, who was it? Deshaun Watson, maybe? And I was confused about that. Was that draft?
That was Watson was in the Trubisky Mahomes draft in 2017. Daniel Jones was in the Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins draft.
That's who it was. It was Dwayne Haskins. That particular draft.
I liked Haskins
weird.
Too.
In hindsight,
I liked Haskins too.
Yeah. I was so confused because I just knew that Haskins was going to go early, but I don't know. Like, that was such a terrible story. Like, I don't know exactly what happened, with him, but
yeah, he tragically passed away driving something. I don't know exactly the full details of it either.
Yeah, but I mean, even before that, he just had a tough run.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was one of those guys that just kind of had a chip on his shoulder and wasn't easy to work with, but it would have been nice if his story ended up a little bit better, or I guess anything would have been better.
Yeah, but Haskins did beat out Burrow for that QB job, and that led to Burrow transferring to LSU for his final 2 seasons.
Yeah. But, just kind of goes to show, like, when things don't work out the way that you want to, sometimes you still end up.
Yep. And it's gonna be a very interesting season. But I think the first week is gonna be fun. The November 1st, I think, is gonna be spectacular. I think there's like 7 ranked games in November 1st. And Ohio State, Penn State's the headline game of those 7. But yeah, November 1st and the opening week are probably the 2 best weeks of the year for college football this season.
Yeah. I'm also kind of keeping an eye out on Colorado, just, with all the stuff going on with Deion. I don't know. It's a lot.
Their QB competition is going to be fun, and I think Jordan Seaton's probably the top left tackle in the 2027 draft. He had a very good freshman year. Colorado's offensive line coach is Phil Lodeholt, former Oklahoma left tackle that played for the Vikings for many years. So I think he's going to do a good job, and I think Marshall Faulk might be on Colorado now as like a running backs coach or something. I don't know. But I heard him and Deion were doing something together at Colorado when I was watching a documentary on the running backs that were drafted in the top 3 overall, because Marshall Faulk went second in 94 or 95 of the Colts. I think it was 95 draft. And he started out with the Colts. May have been 94, but either way, he started out with the Colts. He went to the Rams, and he really rectified that greatest show on turf offense after his tenure with the Colts ended.
They're actually playing Georgia Tech, but unfortunately in Colorado. I wish they were playing them here because I try to go to that game.
That does sound like a fun game to go to. And
Yeah.
I remember those were considered the two best teams in 1990. They actually split a
That's crazy.
championship in 1990, Colorado and Georgia Tech.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How time has changed.
Yep. I mean, I think Georgia Tech only had one loss to North Carolina that year when Mac Brown was first at the program. And Colorado, I think Colorado had an undefeated season, but they had a fifth down They had a fifth down that year. Since Missouri, a lot of people were upset, ticked off about it. So, yeah.
Ooh. Well, I guess it's going to be interesting, if nothing else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's going to be. Oh, I forgot one more player, Thomas Castellanos. He was at Boston College last year. He transferred to Florida State. That's another where are they
Oh,
now?
wow. I liked
Florida
him.
State. I don't know why Bill O'Brien let him leave the building. I mean, he was doing a great
No.
job with
He was really good.
college.
Like he turned that program around. Like I'm confused.
I am too. Like, why would you let him walk out of the building? If he wants something or he needs something, help him get it and keep him as your quarterback, because I think that was, if you had kept him, I think you would have had a chance to maybe compete for the ACC championship.
Yeah.
The ACC is pretty wide open this year. I mean, yeah, you still have Clemson, SMU, and Miami, but after those three, you got Georgia Tech, and I think I don't really see anybody else making a splash. I like what Florida State's done, but I don't know if they've gotten enough additions in the portal to say they're a legit contender for the ACC under Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
But we'll see what Castellanos does with this group at Florida State.
Yeah, I'm reading up because I had no idea about that transfer. It says he regrets bailing on his team. Is this the guy that decided not to play in the bowl game?
I believe so.
Let me see. Oh,
I know he had a very good game for Boston College, helped them beat Florida State early in the season last year. He looked very good early in the year last year.
He got benched against Syracuse in week 10 and hopped into
That's
the portal.
probably why he transferred. Because the same thing happened with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield got benched for the other QB. I think it was Davis Webb who transferred to Cal. And then Mahomes ended up taking the job from Davis Webb at Texas Tech. So, yeah.
It says that he regrets doing it, which is kind of a weird thing to say because you're where you are, you know?
Yeah.
I guess he didn't like that he left his teammates, but I guess he didn't mind that he left the program.
I don't think he minded leaving the coaching staff and the athletic program. He probably missed his teammates. That's probably the football players in that locker room.
Yeah, that's what he's basically saying.
That's yeah.
Well, I mean, Florida State's not a horrible program to go to. Still got a gold hat.
Are the program.
Basically,
they are one of the better programs.
Trading maroon and gold for maroon and gold.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Basically trading the BC for the Seminole patch and the Seminole in the jersey.
Right. I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. I'm not going to go through full. Kevin Jennings took over for Preston Stone at late in the season last year. I think it's just going to be Duke lost their quarterback. He transferred. I think it's going to be very we'll see. Owen McCown took the starting QB job from Frank Harris at UTSA. That's Josh McCown's son. I don't know. For some reason, I'm having trouble thinking of guys that that a lot of guys returned to college. A lot of guys returned to college, didn't go in the portal. Houston did get some guys in the portal. Houston got Connor Weigman from Texas A&M. They got Tanner Kozoil, the tight end from Ball State. So the Houston Cougars did make some moves in the portal this year. So Houston, Florida State, Tennessee, Georgia, Colorado. There were a few schools that made some big moves in the portal. But overall, not a lot of excitement. I'm not going to say there's no excitement. There's still some excitement, Brandice, but it does feel like there's a little bit less excitement this year versus last season.
Yes. But I think a lot of that is just because there's a lot of kind of not no names, but, guys that yet. And then, the guys that did have names went to teams that is big. Like, I mean, back in Miami is, I don't know, like maybe he'll go there and put a stamp on it, but I don't know. I don't know if that'll happen or not.
There's a lot of names, like established names, but the established names in this draft aren't like as high profile as the guys in last year's group. Mm-hmm. Like right now, you got Garrett Nussmeier, LSU, Drew Aller, Penn State, Cade Klubnik, Clemson. Those are the top three guys. You can debate the order. You can debate which guy you like the best, but those are the top guys. And then you got Lenoris Sellers at South Carolina. And I think the fifth quarterback that could go in round 11 at Arizona State, but he's only a sophomore redshirt. He might back to Arizona State in 2026 and then trying to get in the first round of the 27 draft if he's a bad year this year. So class does have more potential than last year, but there's less established names. Like we knew Cam Ward and Shadur were probably the two best, and you had Milroe. Milroe was more established at this point than any of these other QBs in the draft because Klubnik's the only one that's won a conference title, but I think Nussmeier, he did a great job, Phil, taking over for Jaden Daniels and Aller. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because this class could be great, but it could also be a dud if some of these established names don't take that next step to become even more established, like some of the guys that we saw heading into last season of college football.
What is going to be interesting is what will happen to some of the teams that got a lot of acclaim because they had these kind of big name players on their teams like Ashton Genty. Like, are we going to be talking about Boise State?
Yeah, I mean, Boise State's got a left tackle. They do have some good players on defense, but without Ashton Genty, it's at quarterback. I think he transferred somewhere else. I don't know where. I just don't know where the appeal's going to be. And I think there's some other group of 5 teams outside of Boise, maybe a team like UTSA or maybe a team like Navy that just have a little bit more flash, a little bit more appeal this year. But as long as Boise's undefeated, they're going to be that de facto group of 5 team outs along with Notre Dame. Notre Dame and Boise are going to be basically the 2 de facto group of 5 teams, Brandice, until they lose in conference play to a lesser named team. Those are going to be the de facto 2.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see because I guess I'm a little bit confused as to how so many quarterbacks that were really like kind of putting their mark on teams that were slowly kind of like eking their ways towards the top, like Tennessee went to, in my opinion, lesser programs. I see it as a downgrade for, Nico Iamaleava to go to UCLA. I don't.
Yeah,
UCLA
really does not have much. They've got a good running back, but they don't. They lost their wide receiver, John Michael Sturdivant. He transferred to Florida. He was their best receiver. He left UCLA to go to Florida. Play with Lagway.
Cade McNamara to East Tennessee State.
Yeah, that I heard about that. going to be interesting. Cade McNamara, Delaware was an FCS team for years. They've made the jump to the FBS, the Delaware Blue Hens. So they're going to be in the FBS this season.
That's crazy.
I know. I think they're Conference USA, but the Delaware Blue Hens, you're used to seeing them in the FCS. They're going to be in the FBS this season. Kennesaw State made the jump last year. This year, it's going to be Delaware. If you had told somebody in 2008 that Joe Flacco would still be in the NFL and Delaware would make the jump to the FBS before Joe Flacco retired, you would have gotten laughed off the campus. You would have gotten laughed off the campus for making that claim.
For sure. Because what? Like, I don't. Why is Joe
Flacco's still going to be playing in the NFL 17 years later, and we're going to be in the FBS against Division I teams? Yeah, no. Nobody at Delaware would have taken you seriously if you had made that claim.
Where did SMU's quarterback go? Is he still there?
Preston Stone. Else.
I was kind of hoping Georgia got him, but
Northwestern. Preston Stone transferred to Northwestern, and Northwestern does year's NFL draft. They've got some good running backs. So yes, Northwestern has Preston Stone this year.
All right. Looks like all the kids are rambunctioning around, so I might have to wrap this up.
I mean, we pretty much covered all our bases, and I appreciate you coming on, Brandice, and we got all our topics knocked out. So we'll see you guys next week or whenever